Have you ever wanted to understand a real story and feel the grammar inside it, so you can use it in your own life with calm and confidence? Stay with me, because today you will hear a warm, clear story that shows how past perfect works in real life. And by the end, you will feel that English can be simple and friendly for you. Hello, friends. My name is Erfan, and I am your teacher friend. I speak slowly and use simple words because I want English to feel easy for your mind and your heart. I am also a language scientist, and I love to explain grammar in a human way. Today I will tell you a long, true story from my life. In this story, I will use past perfect many times to show what happened earlier than another past moment. I want you to feel how the past perfect can help you make time clear when you talk about the past. One morning, I woke up before the sun. I felt calm and ready. I had set my alarm the night before, and it had rung gently on the table by my bed. I got up and looked around my room. I smiled because I had prepared everything for that day. I had packed a small bag. I had checked my notes. I had planned my route in my mind. By the time I left my home, I had eaten a light breakfast and I had finished a warm drink. I felt strong because I had organized my work carefully before I stepped outside. The street was quiet. The sky was soft and gray. I walked slowly and listened to the air. I had always loved early mornings, and I had used them many times to think and to remember. As I walked, I thought about grammar and time. I had learned that the past perfect shows something that happened before another past event. It gives order to a story and makes it easy to follow. I reached the corner and checked my pockets. I realized I had forgotten my small notebook. I went back and picked it up from the table where I had left it. I started my day's journey with a clear mind. I had made a list of people I wanted to visit, and I had written what I needed to say to each one. In the first stop, I met a kind person. He smiled and told me he had waited for a short time, and he had already ordered a simple drink. We spoke about learning and about habits. He said he had tried many ways in the past, and he had noticed that easy, regular practice helped him the most. I listened and saw how his past actions had shaped his day. Later, I walked to a quiet room where I liked to read and think. I had reserved my time there in my plan, and I had promised myself I would focus. Before I sat down, I looked at my notes. I had written a short line about past perfect the day before. I had said that the past perfect is like a bridge between two past moments. I smiled because I had felt this truth many times when I told stories to learners. I opened my notebook and remembered the first time I used past perfect in a real talk. A long time ago, a kind teacher had explained it to me with simple words. She had shown me that when I want to say one event happened before another past event, I should use had plus the past form for the earlier event. I thanked her in my heart because she had given me a clear way to see time. By midday, I had visited 2 places, and I had spoken to 3 people. I felt grateful because the day had started well. I had begun early, and I had kept a steady rhythm. I needed to rest for a moment, so I sat on a simple chair and closed my eyes. I had carried a small bottle of water, and I took a slow sip. I thought again about my journey with language. Before I taught others, I had studied patiently for many years. I had listened to many voices, and I had read many pages. These earlier actions had given me strength for my work now. In the afternoon, a small problem arose. A plan changed. One person had sent a short message in the morning, but I had not seen it until later. The message said the time had moved. When I arrived at the meeting place, I learned they had finished earlier than I expected. I felt a little sad, but I stayed calm. I told myself I had faced small changes many times in life. I had learned that change can be part of a day, and I had learned that calm breath and kind thoughts help more than worry. I walked again and let my ideas return to the story of learning. Years before, I had wanted to speak with peace and clarity. I had tried to study in long blocks, but I had noticed that small, regular steps were better for me. I had created a simple plan, and I had followed it for many months. By the time I felt comfortable in real talks, I had listened a lot. I had spoken often, and I had written many short notes. This is how past perfect connects old effort with later results. When we say we had practiced before we spoke well, we show the order and the cause of growth. I met a young learner in a quiet yard. He looked thoughtful and a little shy. He told me he had been afraid to speak, and he had stayed quiet in class. I listened and smiled. I told him I had felt shy too in the past. Before I spoke freely, I had worried about mistakes. I had thought that errors were bad, but later I learned that mistakes can be teachers. By the time I saw that truth, I had already missed many chances. I told him that now I choose kindness for myself, and I choose small steps every day. He nodded and thanked me, and I wished him a warm path. I kept moving and thought about the rhythm of stories. In a story, we often look back and see earlier actions. We say what we had done before we reached a new moment. We say what we had felt before we made a choice. We said what we had learned before we tried again. Past perfect gives shape to this looking back. It holds memories gently and places them before the present moment. As the day continued, I walked to a green place with tall trees. I had visited this place many times, and I had always found it quiet there. I sat on a bench and watched the leaves move in the wind. I remembered a time when I had almost stopped studying language. I had felt tired, and I had thought my progress was slow. But I had promised myself I would give it one more month, and I had kept that promise. By the time that month ended, I had felt stronger, and I had decided to continue with hope. I looked at the sky and smiled. I had not expected the day to be so full of old memories, but the soft air had invited them. I thought about the learners I had helped. Some had believed they were not good enough, and they had carried heavy doubts. After we worked together for a while, they felt lighter, because they had practiced gently and they had seen simple success. By the time they noticed their own progress, they had built a new trust in themselves. I stood up and walked to the edge of the path. I had left my bag near my seat, and I picked it up. I checked the small pocket and saw I had saved a note from many years ago. On that small paper, I had written a promise to myself. I had promised to teach with patience and to speak with simple words. When I read the note, I felt warm inside. I had kept that promise through time, and I had given many learners a calm path. The light grew softer. I had planned one more visit, and I started to move again. As I walked, I remembered a special day. On that day, I had given a talk to a small group. Before the talk, I had prepared for hours. I had made small cards, and I had practiced my lines. By the time I stood in front of them, I had already checked every part of my plan. The talk went well because I had built my steps carefully. This memory showed me again how past perfect fits real life. We prepare, and then we act. We had done the work, and then we spoke. The earlier effort supports the later moment. I reached a quiet room and sat near a window. I had asked myself many times why people learn languages. I had heard many simple reasons. Some had needed English for work. Some had needed it for travel. Some had wanted it to open a new part of life. I had found that one thing made all reasons strong. When learners feel kind to themselves, and when they take small steps, they grow. By the time they see results, they had already built a gentle habit that carries them forward. The sun was lower now. I felt the day move to its ending. I had planned to review my notes before I returned home. I opened my notebook and read a few lines. I had written about the power of clear time words. Words like before, after, by the time, already, never, and just help the past perfect shine. I had learned to place them with care. When we say before I arrived, they had finished, we show the earlier action. When we say by the time I called, they had left, we show a clear order that the ear can feel. I closed my notebook and thought about my path again. Before I began teaching, I had watched many learners struggle with long rules. I had seen how heavy words did not help. So I had decided to use short, friendly sentences, and I had kept my voice slow and warm. By the time my classes felt like safe rooms, I had changed my style. I had removed hard words, and I had made space for calm practice. This choice had helped both me and them. As the air cooled, I walked home. I had spent the day with quiet steps, and I had filled it with meaning. I had met kind faces, and I had carried soft thoughts. On the way, I passed a small shop that I had visited years before. I remembered a time when I had stood there thinking about my future. I had not known my way, but I had kept moving. By the time I found my path, I had tried many small roads, and I had learned to trust slow progress. I reached my door and opened it gently. I had left the room tidy in the morning, and it looked calm now. I sat down and breathed slowly. I had promised myself I would write a short note about the day. I took a pen and began to write. I had always felt that writing helps the mind feel clear. Before I finished the page, I had written 3 things I felt grateful for. I had learned something. I had helped someone. I had kept my steps simple. This made me smile. In the evening, I thought about you, the listener. I imagined your quiet focus and your steady heart. I hoped you had heard how past perfect served this story. Earlier actions had shaped later moments. Old choices had prepared new results. Past perfect had given the story order, and it had made time feel smooth. If this way of speaking feels gentle and clear for you, I am happy. You can carry it in your own stories. You can say what you had done before a later event, and you can help your listener follow your timeline. I also want you to feel strong inside when you study English. If you have ever felt shy about learning, remember that you have already taken brave steps by listening to this long story. If you have felt unsure, tell yourself you had shown courage by staying with the kind practice. By the time you wake up tomorrow, you will have a new chance to touch English again with small and calm actions. Your future self will thank you because you had given it a soft path today. At night, I turned off the light. I had closed my notebook and placed it back on the table. I had set a gentle alarm for the next morning. I lay down and felt peace in my chest. I thought about language as a friend. I had seen that small steps in a kind rhythm make a big change over time. By the time we feel fluent, we had built our path with many little stones, and each stone was a moment of care. I want to thank you for your time and your focus today. If you enjoyed this friendly way to learn, and if you want clearer stories with simple grammar, you can follow the channel. Your kind like and your short comment help this small learning space stay warm and active. If you want new episodes, your subscribe will make sure you do not miss them. I hope you have felt calm energy today, and I hope you carry it into your learning tomorrow. I am Erfan, your teacher friend. I had promised to speak with simple words and a calm voice, and I had kept that promise for you. Keep going with kind steps. By the time you look back in a few months, you will see that you had built a strong bridge in your learning, and you will feel proud of your path.